Welcome in and welcome back. We are here for a review of The Mandalorian, Chapter 14, titled The Tragedy. This is quite possible. So I think it's probably the most action-packed episode that we've had to date. I think that it is more than likely the best storytelling that we've had to date. And I mean that in a plot-type format. So I'll get into this a little bit later, but I think that this is also one of the most Star Wars feeling episodes that we've had to date. And I'm not a Star Wars guy. So if you can get the nostalgia factor through to me, the Star Wars fandom must really have enjoyed this thing. I think that this episode was probably the biggest episode in as far as it is expanding the Star Wars universe through The Mandalorian that we've had to date, even despite the fact that we got no new characters. We got some new abilities. We got some new troopers. We got some new complications. We got a lot of new stuff. We got a lot of callbacks to the previous. Bill Burr's coming back. Spoilers, okay? I should have said this up front. Spoilers. This is all spoilers. It's a review for the episode. Hopefully I will remember to put spoilers in the title and the thumbnail. But where we start this episode is a very emotionally complicated place to be. We are with the father who cannot provide, right? We're with the father who is, look, it was explained last episode, as if we didn't know, that Grogu had become emotionally attached to the Mandalorian. It's impossible not to see the reciprocity in this, that the Mandalorian has become emotionally attached to Grogu as well. Now, what we start this episode with is the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, acknowledging the fact that he has to now get rid of Grogu in order that Grogu might fulfill his potential. If we're talking about classic storytelling devices, this is a father's role. This is not a mother's role. If we want to talk about cliches in literature, if we want to talk about things like that, the mother will sit on the child so that it does not reach its potential, so that it does not. This is the if we're going to go with Jordan Peterson, okay, let's invoke the Peterson. This is the tyrannical mother. The tyrannical mother is the one who sits on the child's potential so that the child never leaves. The liberating father is the one who forces the child out on its own, which seems in the moment an act of tyranny, an act of abandonment, but in all actuality it is because the parental figure there knows that it cannot provide the potential fulfilling training that the individual needs, that the child needs, that the dependent in the situation needs. It is almost in this opening scene, we almost get the same feeling that we get from Unbreakable. Remember in Unbreakable, I can't remember the names, but Bruce Willis's character forsakes a professional football career because he knows that his future wife would not be able to be with a football player because she does not enjoy the violence involved in the sport. So he becomes a normal guy. And when we find the character in the movie, the marriage for which he had forsaken, that professional football career is failing. The marriage is failing. So he's having a bit of a, what would you say there, a 75% life crisis? Something a little bit more than a midlife crisis, maybe. He seems a little bit older than that in the movie, but they have a child together. What we have here is we have the Mandalorian forsaking that for which he is thankful. The Mandalorian forsaking that thing for which he had forsaken his entire previous life. He worked his entire life as a member of that Mandalorian and bounty hunter guild. He had established a name for himself. He got rid of it for Grogu. And here he understands that Grogu is more powerful, has more potential than anything that he can ever provide for Grogu. So he's getting rid of himself. He's letting the child off on its own. Spoilers, Boba Fett. We get the Fett, and he's done justice. I have to admit that I, like I say, am not the biggest Star Wars fan. That said, I do understand the love affair that Star Wars fans have with Boba Fett. And if we're talking about midlife crises, perhaps his armor does not quite fit anymore. But Boba Fett is herein done justice. He is a vicious, vicious individual. And he is one of the things that this series is good at. Look, there's one new thing that I didn't know about Boba Fett. I didn't know Boba Fett could lay down such great quotes. The sands of time step in to rescue the wretched. Holy hell, that's a great line. I didn't know that from Boba Fett. Maybe that is in canon, maybe that is in lore, maybe that is something for which Boba Fett is known. I knew him for 1 or 2 word replies, I think. But beyond that, one thing that I am thankful that this series is not afraid to do is make good guys scary. And holy hell, is Boba Fett scary in this episode. Not only does he attack ferociously and viciously, he only sneaks up on people. Which is animalistic. It is the hunter. It is creating prey of the stormtroopers in question here. And once they figure out that, oh, Boba Fett's back in town, the Bobes is back in town, they jet. They get out of town. Which goes to show you just how much of a reputation this guy has. They were being picked off left and right, but I can't remember Ming-Na Wen's character's name, but they were being picked off left and right by Ming-Na Wen. And they know how dangerous Din Djarin is, because we're this many episodes into the series, we're at 14 episodes into the series, and he's kept the baby away from them the entire time, the child away from them the entire time, and he has proven himself skilled with all sorts of weapons. So they were more than willing. 2 drop ships of stormtroopers were more than willing to take on the 2 of them in order to get to the child. They didn't care. We're losing some guys left and right, left and right, left and right. But once this son of a bitch pops up, hey, it's time to go. These are all small things which contribute to the storytelling involved. Good storytelling does not tell, it shows. Boba Fett shows up in a fashion, even before he has his armor back, Boba Fett is showing up in a fashion that invokes fear in the viewer. If you are to empathize with the stormtrooper in said situation, you didn't know Boba Fett was standing straight behind that guy either, so it shocks you. This is how we communicate effectively as a storyteller. Once that fear goes from individual level, the people upon whom Boba Fett is sneaking up, once it goes from that to multiple dropships of stormtrooper deciding it's time to go, that communicates with us through showing that this person is so formidable. They all know not only are they dead, but it's going to be an improper death because the mission will be failed, so they may as well regroup and try again. So that was exciting. Another small thing that I thought was interesting, I've never experienced this with Star Wars before. Stormtroopers here had an actual strategy. It was interesting to see. They deployed individual stormtroopers. These individual stormtroopers were to lay fire and make whatever progress they could. But once the obstacles were identified, Din Djarin and the Ming-Na Wen's character, as I think, it seemed to be that the Boba Fett character was sneaking around unidentified, because that he surprised everyone when they showed up, but they were after Din Djarin and the Ming-Na Wen character. So once they got the individual troops out. They deployed a mortar and a Gatling gun. That was interesting to me because I have never seen strategy such as that happening from stormtroopers. That's good storytelling because of this. It reclaims some of the danger that was previously associated with stormtroopers, that danger which has died through nearly 50 years of ineptitude from stormtroopers. So when we see that and it is communicated to us through show that no, they're proficient. It's just the individuals who are the counterforce to them, Jedis, Mandalorians, sharpshooters, Boba Fett's of the world, are so skilled that it makes them look inept. So I thought that was important. Another bit of good storytelling that we had here was the landscape as an obstacle. None of the ships could land right next to Pride Rock, or whatever it was called. I can't remember. The Jedi Rock? Is that right? Jedi Rock? We're going to go with Jedi Rock. The Jedi Rock was positioned such that whoever landed there could not land their ship right next to Jedi Rock. So they had to land elsewhere and approach Jedi Rock, which ended up being good storytelling because A, it is an obstacle for Grogu and the Mandalorian. B, that is how we communicate that the first set of potential bad guys, Ming-Na Wen and Boba Fett, are on their way. And it allows that secondary surprise that Ming-Na Wen is there because we only watch the Slave One long enough. I knew the name. We only watch the Slave One long enough to see Boba Fett's character come out of the Slave One. See, it provides this space forcing an introduction of our bad guys each time they are introduced. So the first set of stormtroopers come and we're picking them off, we're doing okay. Then the second set comes, and we understand at this point they're not going to stop. From whence they spring eternal, apparently. They're just going to keep coming. They don't, however, just keep coming. We send the Dark Troopers as well. And the reason this is so interesting is that the Dark Troopers have an extra set of skills. They don't need a ship. So they are able to They are able to approach Jedi Rock directly. So this communicates simply via visual. This communicates the fact that these Dark Troopers are more skilled, more dangerous, they have more tools, they're more capable, all of these things. It communicates right then and there. Boom, they're direct, they're to the point. This is direct and to the point is something that communicates proficiency to an extreme fashion when you're talking about visual storytelling in a visual storytelling apparatus. Think back to Captain America Winter Soldier and why the fight scenes were so much different in that than other Marvel movies. Can you say why? I guarantee you it's because the Winter Soldier does not flail. The Winter Soldier comes straight at. Go back and watch. So there's the one scene in particular that got it to me. The Winter Soldier character is fighting with the Captain America character, and he's got a knife. And Steve Rogers grabs his hand. He drops the knife to himself. I've never seen that in a hand-to-hand combat movie, but it's so direct that it communicates right now, oh, he's not going to hurt, he's going to kill right now as quick and direct as possible. We get that from the Dark Troopers in that they land right on Jedi Rock. So another thing that was impressive to me through the visual storytelling in this episode is when Ming-Na Wen's character and the Mandalorian are fighting back to back. Mando is taking all this fire. Pink, 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 pink. Ming-Na Wen, who has also lost her helmet, but is also not wearing Beskar steel and would be susceptible to this fire, she uses the Mandalorian as cover. I thought that was pretty brilliant. Because it insists that these characters are strategically thinking. It insists that Mandalorian knows taking this fire is going to suck, and it is dangerous because he's not covered with Beskar steel every inch of him. It's still the best shot they have for Ming-Na Wen to be efficient and effective is behind him, popping out from side to side, letting off a few shots. Like I said, the Dark Troopers, I think that's what they were called, Dark Troopers. Super impressive. Those are things that are going to come back, I think, pretty obviously. So after I did my review last week, there were a couple other reviews and review channels that I watched that reviewed the episode, and from what I understand, the Dark Troopers are from canon, and they do appear from time to time in video games and novelizations and comic books, things like that, and they are formidable opponents. We're going to get them back. This is not going to be the last that we see of them. Speaking of get them back and not the last we're going to see of them, there is no doubt in my mind that we're going to get a Jedi now. We're going to get a Jedi at this point. It was interesting that they did it via Skybeam. Remember, one of the things this series is not opposed to doing is making the good guys, using the good guys to employ strategies often employed by the bad guys. And we're coming back to that. All of the so one of the cliches in Hollywood is the Skybeam. We get it in the Avengers, we get it in the Justice League, we get it in the new Ghostbusters. I think we got it in the original Ghostbusters too, but that was before it was cliche. The Skybeam, right? Something emitting a beam to the sky. In every time it's been done by bad guys. It's the bad guys trying to transform the world. It's the bad guys trying to create a portal from the world. It's the bad guys just not emitting, but channeling power to destroy, whatever it is. There's a Skybeam and it's employed by bad guys. Here, that Skybeam is employed by the good guys. It's Baby Yoda. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see a Jedi, and I think this episode makes it even more apparent to me that the Jedi we're going to get is Luke Skywalker. And I say that because the writers of this show love irony. The writers of this show love callbacks. The writers of this show love avenging things which have gone poorly. So the writers of this show love irony. Who got rid of Boba Fett? Who's going to be fighting back-to-back with Boba Fett? The writers of this series love... What did I say? Nostalgia, for sure. They love nostalgia. So what could possibly be more nostalgic? What in the history of Hollywood could be more nostalgic than getting Luke Skywalker back? I don't think anything. Prove me wrong if you can prove me wrong. The only bigger franchises in Hollywood history than Star Wars, you could make an argument that Harry Potter's in league with Star Wars. That comes from a book. You could argue that the Marvel movies are in league with Star Wars. They come from comic books. But to return Luke Skywalker to glory, not like the new series, but to glory, would be incredibly nostalgic, and that is Hollywood nostalgia. There are all sorts of storytelling forms that have sprung forth from Star Wars, but it originated as a movie storytelling format. So that's the nostalgia part. But vengeance. One of the things that was so lambasted about the sequel trilogy was the fact that we never got to see Luke Skywalker kick any ass. After seeing Boba Fett and Din Djarin and the Ming-Na Wen character kick that type of ass in this episode, is there any doubt in your mind that Luke Skywalker would show up and be absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Because we never really get to see, and this is something I've picked up on through other people saying it. This is not an original Adrian critique here. We never really get to see Jedi's full blast in their primes. In the original trilogy, we get Vader as an old man. We get Obi-Wan Kenobi as an old man. We get Luke Skywalker as an up-and-coming Jedi. In the original trilogy, Qui-Gon Jinn is probably the biggest dose of Jedi in his prime that we really get. But we get that just long enough for Darth Maul to go ahead and end it. We don't really get any... We get a little bit of Darth Maul in his prime, but then it is Obi-Wan who strikes him down. So after that, we get little tastes of different people, but we never really get full throttle Obi-Wan. We never really get full throttle terrifying Luke Skywalker. And whatever happened in the sequel trilogy happened in the sequel trilogy, and no one really cares. Rey stands around and becomes a cement mixer by crushing rocks, I guess. I don't know. But here we get the chance. Like at the end of Rogue One, when Darth Vader comes out and just slaughters dudes. We're going to get the chance, I think, to see Luke Skywalker do much the same thing. But there's been no leaks. How could you have Mark Hamill on set and there's no leaks? Mark Hamill has been on set. He's voiced things before and we never heard about it. Also, we don't really need him on set if what we're doing is we're putting his face over someone else. We're digitally imposing de-aged Mark Hamill onto someone else's lightsaber-wielding body. Also, you don't know what's going on. Most of this series has been basically filmed in like a circular room. I don't know if you've seen that thing that they came out with for this series, where it's just this big circular room, and everything, instead of being green screened, it's like a live action movie taking place inside a live action movie. It's super impressive stuff. That's one room. You're not going to have anybody out on the street for someone to take a picture through their window. You can tell how old I am because I said take a picture. No one's photographing it through a window. You have to imagine that someone like Mark Hamill gets to make his way on and off Disney sets whenever he damn well pleases. We didn't know that George Lucas was on set until the image of him with Grogu went viral. All of these things can happen, and we'd have no idea. But yeah, a Jedi is definitely coming back. So at the end of this episode, Din Djarin is ruined. Din Djarin is in ruin. He has no ship. On his ship was all of his money. That's gone. On his ship were all of his weapons. Those are gone. So he has no ship, no money, no weapons, no Grogu. Grogu was the one thing he seemed possessive over. The Mandalorian can do the work and get another ship. The Mandalorian, in fact, I've been saying this for a long time, we're going to get upgrades to the ship. It seems we're not. We're going to get an entirely new ship. Is it possible that Boba Fett dies and we inherit the Slave One? I hope not. I hope we get an entirely new ship. Because it would be more interesting that way. I wanted to know the weapons he had on the ship, so that sucks a little bit. But we get the chance now to reintroduce weapons. He's got the side shooter. I don't think he has his big gun anymore. But he does have the Beskar steel staff, which is obviously going to be employed against... Is that going to be employed against the Sith, maybe? Hard to say. There's a reason we've still got it. There's a reason we still find it. Because we didn't just happen to find it. He found that, and he found the ball that Grogu likes to play with. Those are two things which are going to figure into future storytelling. So what we have is the chance. So season 1, we got the Mandalorian constantly upgrading his armor. That was fun to watch. That is dare I say it, a guy type of storytelling. Maybe women love that type of storytelling too. I can't tell. I don't know. What I do know is tons of guy movies and guy video games and guy novels all revolve around that type of storytelling, slowly accruing new armor, right? Things like that. Now we get the chance to slowly accrue a new ship, to slowly upgrade a ship. We get to basically Fast and Furious our way through Star Wars. We get to basically Grand Theft Auto our way through Star Wars, because we've already The Masked Man our way through Star Wars. So we're introducing new opportunities for storytelling, new opportunities to accrue things which would make Mando more formidable. After which he will be obviously, hopefully, reintroduced to his clan, the armorer and the heavy trooper, whatever it was called, Jon Favreau's character, the heavy trooper, heavy duty trooper, something like that. We're going to be reintroduced to those individuals, and we will get the opportunity to rebuild that clan to prevalence. I'm going to get to these two things first. Got to get back to that. Bill Burr's coming back. That's pretty cool. Something strange is going to come with that. I'm not sure what. Maybe we have to get the Twi'lek lady back too. Maybe we have to get the demon-looking guy back third. I don't know. Something weird is going to happen there. It's going to be some form of interesting storytelling. I have faith in Favreau for that. Number 2, Grogu the Scary. Like I said, this series is not afraid to make good guys scary. That scene of Grogu slamming the stormtroopers around, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. That little guy was going to town, and notice he didn't just crush them. So he's not just a dark side user, right? He didn't just go ahead and kill them, though he probably could have. He was just throwing them around. But it was absolutely awesome to see him very scary in that way. And we're going to get Grogu the Scarier come at least episode 8. Has there been any announcement that we're only getting 8 episodes? I don't know. It will be interesting to me to see, because we have a lot of storytelling left, I think, for just 2 episodes, considering especially the fact that this was the shortest episode, I believe, of the season. The runtime on it must have been under 28 minutes, because I think 31 minutes was the entire length of runtime, but that includes the extended credits, the intro, and the opening Lucasfilms thing. So the final thing I want to talk about here is this idea that we've gotten time and again through the criticism of this series, which it's valid. If you enjoy plot, you might not enjoy a season of The Mandalorian. Each episode sort of has its thing going on. Its thing going on has been fairly repetitive to this point. Mando shows up, needs something. Someone can provide something in exchange for help from the Mandalorian. We end the episode. Not a lot of plot there. Pretty simple. Absolutely not a lot of plot there building towards a season level event. Here, we get season level event. Here, we get plot. Here, we get suspense. Be careful what you wish for. All of these things are done, and they are done to the excruciating level that they are. Excruciating to the audience. The tragedy. The tragedy being the title of the episode, foreboding as it is, and we know immediately what that tragedy is going to be, or at least to whom that tragedy will entail. For to who, we know what's going to happen to who, sort of. But yeah, be careful what you wish for, because Favreau can absolutely do that classical type of storytelling. And when you get it, it might not be all fun and games. That is all I have for this episode of The Mandalorian. I have episodes of The Mandalorian every Friday through this season. And I think I'm going to be doing WandaVision, I think, starts dropping as soon as this season is finished. But I also have videos on Mondays and Wednesdays on this channel, as well as Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on my other channel, Stripped Cover Lit, where we talk about books, short stories, and poetry. Mondays over there are for poetry. I hope to see you back Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week.